Hey y'all, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Ariel, and today we'll be talking about things we wish we knew
About grad school. Woo. Alright, thing number one.
Drum roll. Okay, so you do not have to know what you want to do career-wise and research-wise. What I mean by this is there are two main tracks that people typically take after graduate school when they get their PhD. They either go into academia or they go into industry. And if you want to know the differences between the two, I would encourage you to go look it up and read and figure out which one aligns most to your interest. And as far as research interest, you can know broadly what you're interested in and what you want to study and investigate, but you don't have to know the nitty gritty. So as you go through grad school, you'll figure out more and more what you're interested in, because you can have interests that range and that are on multiple different topics. But as you work with different people and as you do literature reviews and you're learning more about what the literature has found, you'll figure out what route you want to take and what interests you most.
Absolutely. It's a learning progress. And with that being said, Thing number two is become an independent learner, okay? When you get to graduate school, nobody's holding your hand, like at all. Not saying that people held your hands in undergrad, but it's a whole different experience. In undergrad, you probably went to the same class 2 times or 3 times a week on a schedule. Now you're meeting once a week, you get your assignments at the beginning, and you gotta figure it out. Although in most graduate programs, you have an advisor that's assigned to you. Your relationship with your advisor may vary. Some people have advisors who are really hands-on, who's gonna take you through and explain to you step by step what you need to do. Some people, advisors, are not gonna reach out to you until you reach out to them. Or no, but I'm being really honest. Or they might just have a more lackadaisical or not micromanaging lifestyle, which is going to be a transition coming from undergrad, high school, and things like that, in entering the graduate space.
I agree.
Okay.
I 100% agree. You are setting up who you are going to be after graduate school. What scholar you're going to be. You're learning your habits now. So figure it out and learn about you and yourself and what works best for you and productivity.
Yep. You have to take accountability for that. Like, you're on your, not on your own, because you have your cohort and you have your advisor and stuff, but it's your responsibility, and there's no cop out. There's nothing else to catch you. Not in a negative sense, but like she said, as a preparation for the future, you're a real adult now.
You grown.
Grown. I don't believe that sometimes, but I'm grown. Okay.
We grown.
All right, and thing number 3.
Number 3. Okay, so your professors are your peers and your colleagues. So this was a bit difficult for me to wrap my mind around, because I came straight from undergraduate. So the relationship that I had with my professors were very unidirectional. So they were giving me knowledge and instilling different ideas into me about what it meant to be a student and a scholar and a learner. So my relationship with them was limited to class. And it was limited to, all right, this is the lesson. This is what you need to know. Get ready for the test. Do your homework. If you need me, I'll be in office hours. That's it. In graduate school, or at least in our program, it's very different. So you can work with your professors. It's very bi-directional. So yes, they're giving you knowledge, and yes, they're teaching you, but you can also work with them and do projects with them. And you guys are, I don't want to say on the same level, but they do respect what you bring to the table, and they respect your ideas and what you want, and you as a researcher.
Yeah. And just to add to that, it's mutually beneficial. So you're going to do projects together. You need to be comfortable asking, okay, on this project, am I a co-author? Or on this project, what is it that I'm able to put on my CV from it? Because you're doing work, and a lot of times as a graduate assistant with an advisor working with professors, that's your job, is to help them do their work, but also you're supposed to learn and grow from that. So you're working together. So not only is it bi-directional, but it should be mutually beneficial.
Yes, I 100% agree with Brittany. And also, they are experts, but their expertise is limited to their area of interest. So you may be interested in something, and you may have read up on something that they may not have. And so that's something that you can bring to the table and perhaps teach them, or you can kind of contribute to their research in a unique way based on something that you already know.
Yeah. And not to labor this point, but
that's what we do.
But that's what we're going to do. Because one thing that I want you to take away, or people in general in grad school to know, is that You don't have to want to be interested in the same exact research interest as your advisor or the professors you work with, right? So you have choice and autonomy in like what my research interest is, what my research scope is, and you should be able to separate like, okay, I'm doing this for your project, but from it I want to take this. Maybe this part of the data is interesting to me, or I can approach it from this way based on the theories that I'm interested in. So that's just something to know too. So as you're looking to apply to grad schools, as you're working with professors, it doesn't have to be an exact match, even though it is important that there are deep similarities and there's something that you can gain from the relationship.
Yes. And if you have a good advisor, they'll read up on what you're interested in with you. So that's what me and my advisor does. I'll put in an article in our shared Google Drive folder, and both of us will read it, and I'll come to our next meeting ready to talk about it. So that's what we do.
All right. Okay. Thing number 4. Is that 4 fingers? Yes. 4 is to familiarize yourself with your degree requirements. The reason this is really important is what we talked about earlier, is a lot of it is you have a lot of autonomy and independence, and you need to know what you need to do in order to graduate. So your dissertation, yes, that's important. How much field experience you might need, that's important. What classes you need to take, that's important. The big thing about classes too is knowing when they're required and how it falls into your schedule. For example, some classes might only be offered in odd number years or even number years. And if you start in an even number year, you don't want to miss it because it's not on your radar, it's not on your mind. So have a document and list out, these are the things I'm required. Take it to your advisor, because sometimes you should be talking to your advisor often enough. But if you aren't, you want to take the important things to your advisor. These are my degree requirements. These are the classes I think I'm interested in taking. What do you think about that? Awesome. This is when they're offered. Keep that document and refer to it every semester before it starts, just to make sure you're keeping up with it.
Yeah, so we have foundation courses, and so you'll more than likely have foundation courses too, but then the elective courses that you get to choose, don't just willy-nilly choose those. I know that there are some that may look very interesting, but make sure you're choosing ones that will help you actually be a scholar and that will help your research. Yeah. So be very tactical with the courses that you choose that are electives. And the foundation courses, make sure you get as much as you can. And we talked about this in our last video, but make sure every assignment that you do has something to do with your research or will help you along the way with your research.
That part right there.
Be smart.
That's important. Item number 5.
So learn about different avenues for monetary funding. So when you get into graduate school, they'll likely give you some sort of financial aid or they'll give you an award. So make sure you read the contract for whatever award that you have. So whether or not you're a teaching assistant or if you're a research assistant or if you just have a scholarship, read the guidelines for that and read your contract. For us, we get paid bi-weekly. And within our contract, it says that we are only required to work 20 hours a week for research, but our break may extend the 20-hour maximum just because of the nature of graduate school. So her and I are working more than 20 hours a week, but we're only getting paid for 20 hours a week, which sucks. But because of the award that we're getting, we get $8,000 a year more than what we would get without the award. And so our award only lasts for 2 years, and our last 2 years will go back to the base pay unless we find another scholarship, which leads me to my next point.
This is the grant queen, y'all. Grant queen.
Grants.
Grant queen. So listen up. Take your pencil out, even though I know none of y'all is taking notes to this last point.
Learn about grants. Find you a mentor. If not your advisor, find someone who is good at writing grants and who has received a lot of grants and have them help you learn how to write great grants, because that will help you a lot with funding and it will look great on your CV, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Find someone who can help you write grants right off the bat, because you're only in there for 4 years and you want to get the ball rolling, because when you're in your 3rd year and you start your dissertation, there are a lot of grants and research awards that fund graduate students who are working on their dissertation work, and that money that you'll get can be a lot. So you want to make sure that you're preparing yourself and that you are practicing writing and you are branding yourself well to people who could be funding your work.
Like I said, grant queen, she helps me with this all the time because that's not a strength of mine. So also find people who know more than you.
Yes.
Item number...
Oh, wait, one more thing. Okay, so your professors' CVs are most likely on the website of the school that you attend. I would encourage you to go pull up their CVs and look at the grants that they applied to when they were in graduate school, or just look in general at grants that they've applied to, and you can go to those organizations' pages and type in grants for graduate students. So that's a way to kind of figure out or find grants in general. So be tactical about it, you know what I'm saying? So that's it.
Intentionality. And moving on to our next point, which is item number 6, is our last point. So if you haven't hit subscribe yet, you should
hit subscribe.
But our last point is about developing a CV. If you don't know what a CV is or what it stands for curriculum vitae. I don't really know.
We don't know how to pronounce.
I can read it and write it. And that's just really important because you want to have a record of what it is your research interests are, what it is that you have contributed to the body of study in that literature. And it might look like writings, it might look like op-eds, it might look like research, it might look like being on your advisors, things. It might look like being a part of a research lab. It could look like a lot of different things, but it's really important because it's going to set you up for your future in the graduate realm, especially if you decide to go. Earlier, Ariel was talking about the two
academia.
tracks. Academia or industry. And so if you decide to go the academia route, you're going to need to have a CV, and you want it to show what you've worked on and what you've done. So work on that CV. Think about it as early as possible, but don't let it stress you out at the same time. You're in grad school to learn and figure things out. But at the same time, keep in the back of your mind that I need to be adding to my CV. Think about and ask people older than you, not even older, I don't want to be ageist, but people with more experience than you, about what can I be adding to my CV? What can I do? What can I do for you? How would that benefit me? And get your CV together and start that early. Start thinking about it early.
Yes. Your CV is the story of who you are. You're branding yourself. When you apply to a grant or whoever you apply to, they're going to read your CV and they're going to see all the work you've done thus far towards whatever goal that you are telling them that you have and that you want to accomplish with the money that they could offer and give you. So make sure your CV is cohesive, it's written well, there are no grammatical errors in it. You want it to be perfect. You want it to be aesthetically pleasing. But make sure that you are taking the time to actually make your CV quality. Put effort in it and add to it over time. So don't just wait until you have all this stuff that you need to add, because you will forget. So make sure you're adding to it as you do things and not just way later on when you forget exactly what you did.
Right, I love that. The story of who you are. So those were just 6 things that we wish we knew before we entered grad school. And that's all we have for y'all today. So until next time, stay tuned, and we wish you best on your grad school journey.
Yes.
Comment below if you have any questions, anything you want to see us talk about. And we are
out. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Yay!